You're listening to My Comic Life on the My Comic Life Podcast Network. Welcome back to My Comic Life, folks. We are so thrilled you're here joining us on this awesome Memorial Day weekend for another great episode of My Comic Life. You know what we're all about. We're all about geek, nerd, science fiction, pop culture, movie, video games. If you're into that, you found your one-stop podcast for that and oh, so much more. Joining me each week in the My Comic Life studio, well, folks, he used to be Thanos' ethics teacher. Alex, say hello to the folks there, Alex.
Hey, my bad, all y'all out there. I failed him and, led the whole, universal genocide thing going. But a very happy Memorial Weekend to you all of you that are celebrating out there this weekend. Me and Sam, we've been kind of hitting the drinks a little hard, but we decided to put together a nice show for y'all today. So, let's get right into it, Sam, please.
All right. In a testament to the luck that we have here on My Comic Life, less than 24 hours after we recorded last week's show, Marvel Studios released their trailer to one of 2021's most anticipated movies. After giving fans a small peek at the movie during their Marvel Celebrates the Movie social media release, the studio finally decided to give supporters a proper look at the upcoming cinematic event, The Eternals.
Yes.
Alex, did this trailer live up to the hype surrounding this movie for you?
No, but I guess that's just because it didn't really come off as a Marvel movie to me, like the trailer, because all the Marvel movies that we've gotten so far have been, action packed, and it's just been explosions and punching your way out of a situation, and this barely had any of that. But it did pique my interest, and I know you're the kind of person who likes these kind of trailers, so please weigh in on this situation because I'm hurting here.
No, I mean visually, it looked great, but even me who doesn't want much given away in trailers, I was still left being like, the who, what, when, where, and why. Like who's the bad guy? Why are they here? And what's propelling them, to move forward here and kind of step out of the shadows and show themselves as being the Eternals, man. So like I said, visually, it was fun to see everything, and it was great to see this diverse cast, interacting with each other. Like that was great, but I was like, who's the bad guy? Why are y'all here? And what's going on? So it didn't answer the who, what, when, where, and why for me. The trailer, yeah, was just very, very vague overall. So I mean, kudos. I mean, you've piqued my curiosity, but I mean, you could have given me a little bit more. I mean, was the trailer too vague for you, or was it just enough for you, Alex?
It was just way too vague for me. It seemed like the kind of trailer that you would put out if the movie were like a year out. You know what I'm saying? Like, do you remember way back in the day when Independence Day, the very first one, when they had their trailer, and it was just like all you could hear was the signal coming from the that Jeff Goldblum had cracked the code.
Yeah,
And it was
yeah.
just, and all you saw was just the shadows that were looming over the cities and stuff like that. And it was like, and then that's all you got until like 2-3 months before the movie came out. And then, they really hit you with everything. And that's kind of the vibe that I got from this is like they've hidden so much from it. And what was with the whole, we've never interfered until now, like, bitch, where were you when Thanos had snapped half the galaxy away? Like, I needed y'all there, and I hope this movie explains that. The way it looks is it looks like they either have lost their memories, or through some weird Eternals type of physiology, maybe they just are cursed to like relive a lifetime over and over and over again, and that kind of But I need an explanation in this movie. I'm super hyped for it, but this trailer did kind of like the vagueness of it did like taper that down a little bit to where it's like, okay, maybe I'm not gonna get the movie that I think I'm gonna get, because this being, Phase 4 is supposed to be basically like intergalactic civil war and stuff like that. So that's what I'm gearing up to watch. But it just doesn't look. It looks like it's gonna start with a low simmer, and hopefully it'll boil over by the time the movie comes out. But what did you think, Sam? I know you always say that you enjoy these trailers that don't give away too much, like I had said before. But man, this was like there's so much mystery surrounding this movie for me right now.
Yeah, no, no. Like you, it's just like totally agree. Vague, vague is just a word that keeps coming to mind. It was just a very, very vague trailer. And yes, I've seen that same question popping up on like Reddit and like other fandom websites. You know, like where the hell were you guys when the Avengers were fighting Thanos? Like where were you when like half of Earth's population got snapped away? Unless like somebody on this team has like the ability to like look into the future and go, oh, they're gonna beat Thanos, and everything's gonna come back to the way it was. Like they better have a line written in there like explaining, or I think you're gonna have a lot of a lot of angry fanboys out there. But yeah, no, I mean like I said, I like a good mystery trailer. This was too much mystery for me. But hey, from the start, it's clear that Marvel wanted to showcase some of the amazing cinematography filmed by director Chloe Zhao. But this trailer does not have the same feeling as many of the Marvel Studio trailers that have released in previous years. And you had just kind of touched on this, but I mean, do you think this trailer is giving us a glimpse of like what to expect? From the movie, should we, tone down our expectations? If we're hoping for like the same formula of explosions and high testosterone, are we going to get more character development and less action? And if so, are you okay with that?
I this this and we're only going off a trailer here, so I mean I will gladly eat crow with I like my crow with pepper and salt. If this comes out and it just absolutely just blows it out of the water, feel free to just roast me in the comments. But I I think yeah, Sam. I think what we're getting with this is kind of like a Marvel artsy type of movie where it's just gonna be. It looks like it's gonna be very story driven. Not to say that that's a bad thing, but it's just not what I'm used to in my Marvel movies. So I mean, maybe this is like their answer to the whole. Maybe Chloe Zhao is going to get a whole Zack Snyder treatment. Where she's just going to be able to build her world. And should this movie be awesome? I hats off to her, and I hope that they do allow her to do that, because like you had said, the visuals stunning, absolutely amazing in this movie. But it's just I need a little bit more, and I sound like a spoiled child, but man, I mean, this is what I've gotten for 10 plus years from Marvel, so it's not really like these expectations aren't unrealistic. But what do you think, Sam? Is the hype level a little bit less for you surrounding this movie?
No, I mean, I'm still excited. I don't mind character development as long as, like there's a compelling story to go along with it. So, no, I mean, if you want to do character development, go for it. Go for it. And sprinkle in some action. Just, yeah, man. Nothing wrong with that for me. Like, not everything has to be, like in-game level for me to enjoy it. So, no, man. If you want to go with a more kind of heavy, character-driven story, almost the Jackie Brown of like Marvel movies, if you will, where like like it's a lot more character development, a lot more characters talking, and a little less, action. I'm on board with that, but you gotta have like a really great script, and like you gotta have really, really compelling characters. And then, I mean, speaking of characters, the teaser trailer introduces us to several of the Eternals and other characters, including Cersei, played by Gemma Chan, and she is an empathetic Eternal with an affinity for humankind who can manipulate matter. Then we get Icarus, played by Richard Madden. He's the tactical leader of the Eternals who can fly, project beams from his eyes, and has superhuman strength. And then we get Kingo, played by Kumal Nanjiani, an Eternal who can project cosmic energy projectiles from his hand. Then we get Thena, played by Angelina Jolie, a fierce warrior Eternal who can form any weapon out of cosmic energy. Oh, and then my favorite Eternal. Oh boy. Heart is a pitter-pattering right here.
Oh,
Ajak,
man.
played by Selma Hayek, the wise and spiritual leader of the Eternals who has aided the advancement of human civilization and is able to use her abilities to heal.
And be a
Heal!
total babe.
And be a total babe. Then we get Gilgamesh, played by Don Lee, the strongest Eternal who can project an exoskeleton of cosmic energy. Next, we got Sprite, played by Leah McHugh, an Eternal who can project lifelike illusions. And then we got Fastos, played by Brian Tyree Henry, an eternal and intelligent cosmic power inventor who secretly helps humanity progress technologically. So thank you for the internet. Uh, and then we got Makari or Mercury. You were telling me earlier in show prep that this name was a playoff of Mercury, played by Lauren Ridloff, an eternal who uses her cosmically powered super speed to scout planets. And then we got Druig, played by Barry Keoghan, an aloof Eternal who can use cosmic energy to control the minds of others. And last but not least, and the one that is catching my eye the most, Dane Whitman, played by Kit Harington, a human warrior who wields a mystical sword. Now, Alex, do you know who Dane Whitman's alter ego is?
I'm blanking on this one. You're gonna have to let me know.
It's the Black Knight, like from Marvel comics.
Okay.
We're finally gonna get our first look at the Black Knight, and I find it so fascinating that he's gonna pop up in
That's
in an Eternal movie. But kind of a follow up question here. We've already covered a little bit about the Eternals previously, but do any of these names stand out to you?
I think it's the second Marvel movie for Gemma Chan, I believe, because I think she was in that Captain Marvel. She played one of the Kree
Okay.
commandos, and I'm looking forward to Icarus because he seems like a Superman type of hero, and I'd love to see that in the Marvel cinematic universe because we don't have anything like that yet. I mean, our closest thing to Superman was what, Iron Man, I think.
Yeah,
So
pretty much.
so to see somebody who actually does like was actually designed to fit that role of Superman in the Marvel universe, I think that would be amazing to watch. I thought that the and like you said, the dialogue in this movie is probably going to be on point. The script is probably going to be amazing, and I like the way that they really played off of each other in the trailer and in the brief moments that we did see them. So I do, so of course Cersei, Icarus. I really want to see Fastos or whatever his name is, played by Brian Tyree Henry, because he's supposed to be the first openly gay character in a Marvel Cinematic Universe movie.
Oh, okay.
And I think Makari, played by Lauren Ridloff, is supposed to be the first deaf superhero in a Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. So things like that, and you had already alluded to it early in this segment that this was going to be the most kind of diverse cast that they had, and it's just little things like that where it's going to be very inclusive, and I really can't wait to see how all these characters develop, because that's a lot of people. So we'll see what they do, and but I mean, you had already said that you like Dane Whitman, the Black Knight. Any other names for you?
Oh well, I mean, of course, Ajax, Selma Hayek. I mean, can't wait to see. She's a wise and spiritual leader. Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah, she is. you know. Yeah, no, Ajax. Looking forward to seeing her. Thena, because we get to see her kind of form that like energy sword in like the trailer and kind of wield it. Angelina Jolie. I find her to be interesting. Yeah, and like you said, Cersei, Gemma Chan, always great to see her back on screen in a Marvel film. And then, oh man, where is it named? I'm going through names here. Kingo, played by Kumail Nanjiani. I think like he always in like this trailer, is like has like a very commanding presence, and so it will. I'm looking forward to like seeing his character on screen. But yeah, speaking of this trailer, in the final moment of the trailer, Sprite asks who will lead the Avengers now that Captain Rogers and Tony Stark are gone. Icarus, in a not so humble manner, volunteers himself. After a comedically long pause, the rest of the Eternals erupt into laughter. Now, Icarus may eventually get the gig, but it does ask a question that has been on the minds of fans since Endgame. And Alex, I'm going to ask you here, of the remaining people in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, who are your top three picks to lead the Avengers?
Oh, to lead the new Avengers. Oh man. Um, I guess obviously you've got Captain Marvel would be. This is in no particular order. She would be a pick. Um, I guess I would also do Star Lord because if it looks like Phase Four, Marvel's going to start to go cosmic, so they're going to need somebody who's a little bit more um, like experienced when it comes to that. I think Star Lord might be a really good pick. And then for the third one, Doctor Strange. I guess I could say without if the rumors are true and we're getting Reed Richards and stuff like that, then feel free to throw him in there for Doctor Strange. But just as of right now, you're going to need somebody extremely powerful, and I think that Doctor Strange would be able to fit that role. But I relay that question back to you, Sam. Who are your top three picks to lead the Avengers?
Oh man, I would go with Sam Wilson, the new Captain America. I think he could do a damn fine job of leading the Avengers. Coming in second place for me would be War Machine, Rhodey.
Oh, really?
Yeah, man. Rhodey, Rhodey is. I don't think Rhodey ever got quite the spotlight he deserved. And I think he can make a good leader for the Avengers. And third for me, Bucky Barnes, the Winter Soldier, man.
You
I
want
think.
the Winter Soldier to lead the? Oh man, Captain Rogers
Listen,
is turning over in his grave right now.
why? Oh my gosh, he is. He could be such an empathetic ear. Like people who are, like if like a mission goes awry or something goes wrong, man, he could be there to like listen to him. He's got the wisdom and battlefield experience to like lead the Avengers into combat, and he's all about this whole redemption arc. And what greater redemption, than saving all of humanity or fighting for all of humanity, man? The Winter Soldier
Okay.
could so lead the Avengers.
Okay, I guess that would work for me, but I still don't think Bucky's the kind of person that's gonna, you know,
But
I
you
don't know.
almost you
I just don't
almost
see
sold
it
me
happening,
on
brother.
Captain Marvel coming in like or Captain Marvel almost edged out Bucky on my list because I hadn't really thought of that, and that's a really excellent pick. She would do an amazing job leading the Avengers. So kudos, you almost there changed my mind
I
on that
almost,
one.
I almost bumped Bucky, but fans
Yeah.
out there, The Eternals does release November 5th, 2021, in theaters only. I don't think it's going to be a simultaneous Disney Plus premiere release. So, and if they do release more trailers or any more information about it, you can always tune in every week here on My Comic Life, and we'll be able to fill you in.
Yes, but jumping from Marvel to DC, now not a specialty of my comic life, but still very much in the realm of comic book news. Netflix released some news pertaining to one of its biggest projects, their adaptation of Neil Gaiman's Sandman comic book series. Now, the premise of this comic book is that in 1916, Dream, the king of stories and one of the seven endless, is captured in an occult ritual, and after being held captive for 105 years, in 2021 he escapes and sets out to restore order to its kingdom of the dreaming. Alex, what is your experience with this popular series?
I know that it's super popular, and I know I see all the let's just call them like they probably shop at Hot Topic, but those kinds of people will are real fans of this the characters in this series. I have read the Kindly Ones, which was a like this was a thick graphic novel, man, and it was a definitely a heavy read. And but other than that, I'm not too familiar with Neil Gaiman's Sandman comic book series. I know doesn't he? I think the character extends far before Neil Gaiman got a hold of him. I guess Gaiman rewrote the character to kind of be what it is now. But I I'm not familiar with this series at all. I really didn't know that this was even coming out until they actually put out this press release. But what about you, Sam? Have you ever read any of the Sandman comic book series?
I mean, I went out and like I bought Sandman Volume One on trade paperback, and like I started to read it, and then like I was reading like four other comic books at the time, and nothing against Gaiman or anything. It's just I just put it down for like a day, and I was like, okay, this is here, this is intriguing. I'll get back to it, and then like sadly enough, I never got back to it. I believe they released an audio book on Audible of the Sandman with like an all star cast. I think with James McAvoy in in that
Oh
production, and
wow.
so yeah, so I've downloaded the audio book, and I'm it's next up on my queue to listen to. But like you, I don't have a ton of experience, or like I don't have a ton of experience with this series. I do plan to delve into it more as this is getting more and more traction. The production already has some heavy hitters behind the camera, including Neil Gaiman and David S. Goyer. Do those names alone pique your interest, Alex? Like, are you gonna like start picking back up Sandman now, or not?
I might actually because Neil Gaiman actually his American Gods is was pretty good. I have not been caught up on the show, but the first two seasons kind of were they held my attention and they were really good. David S. Goyer, of course, is like an American treasure, so we'll
Yeah.
definitely, I definitely am going to uh, keep this one on my radar and follow the development of it. And as we continue in this segment, we'll definitely be going over a lot of the in front of the camera heavy hitters that the show has. But please do uh, uh, answer the same question. Do you now that that Neil Gaiman has been tied and David S. Goyer have all been tied to this project as executive producers? Does that lend any kind? Do they have that kind of that star power that you're looking for? When you're browsing, because there's a lot of shows out there. So I mean, how are they gonna stand out?
Oh yeah, no. I mean, Gaiman and Goyer. I mean, you put those two names together, and like, as soon as the show's over, I'm gonna go digging through my box of trade paperbacks that I have sitting right next to me in the My Comic Life studio. And as soon as I'm done reading American Vampire, like I think I'm going to try to start up with Sandman again. Yeah, but I mean, both those guys have done some great works. Goyer's had some interesting works at least over the last 30 years, including Kickboxer 2, which I've seen.
Classic,
Yeah, classic. The Crow City of Angels, once again sequel to.
classic.
I mean, how do you follow up the Crow? But yes, classic. And oh no, 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 no! You're not doing this to me again, are you, Alex?
Yes, yes, I am. It is the return of the
Ah,
popular guessing game. This week we are doing films written by David S. Goyer. Here are your clues, Sam, taken from the subreddit. Explain a film plot badly. Now, folks at home, feel free to play along and let us know in the comments if you manage to get every single one of these clues. All right. These are going to be these are comic book related films that David S. Goyer has written. At the very least, he has written them. Okay, some of them he has
okay.
directed, some of them he is tied to as a producer, but he has at the very least written these productions. All right. Your first clue: this is a sequel where a hothead bursts into flames every night to fight crime.
Uh, Fantastic Four 2 Rise of Silver Surfer.
No, sir. No, sir. You're in the realm though. This one was Ghost Rider: The Spirit of Vengeance.
Oh, damn it.
Yes, sir. Your second question, your second clue. A
Okay.
man wears leather and beats the shit out of people instead of going to therapy.
Ah, I want to. A man wears leather and beats the shit out of people instead of going to therapy. Um, that's either Blade or Sin City.
This is a DC movie. It's a
Oh, it's
series.
it's
It's all. There's three of them.
Batman.
Yes, this is the
Uh,
Dark Knight trilogy.
Oh, okay, okay.
David S. Goyer wrote them, dude. I couldn't believe that when
Really?
I read. Yes, I know.
He wrote like the Nolan verse
He
trilogy.
wrote the Nolan trilogy. It's crazy, isn't it?
Wow.
All right, your third clue, third movie. A
Okay.
vampire wears leather and beats the shit out of people instead of going to therapy.
That would be Blade Trinity.
You're damn right, dude. The ever popular Blade movie trilogy, and it was
That movie
fantastic, man.
that movie is so infamous for just like how troubled the production was.
Oh, it was
Yeah.
bad. It was bad. And
Okay, so
your
fourth, okay.
fourth and final one. This is a DC production.
Okay.
An illegal immigrant fights other illegal immigrants.
Superman?
Yes, Man of
Okay.
Steel. Sam, amazing job, dude. 3 out of 4. My hat's off to you again, sir. I mean, and folks at home, we can only legally play this game 1 or 2 more times before we are sued into the ground by Jimmy Fallon. So please write in. Let us know how many yet you managed to get if you played along at home. But please, again, Sam, continue DC's Sandman adaptation.
All right. Previously, ple- previously revealed. Wow, man, I should have put that stopper back in that bottle a little earlier before the show started. Previously revealed was the announcement that Tom Sturridge, a British actor and Critics Award winner, was tapped to play Morpheus, aka Dream, the king of dreams and ruler of dreaming, his domain. Netflix piled on the talent with the announcement of acting powerhouses like Gwendolyn Christie, who you would know as playing Captain Phasma, or Brienne of Tarth from Game of Thrones, or as Lucifer, the ruler of hell. We also get Charles, friend of the show, Dance.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
Charles Dance. Last action hero, Tywin Lannister, Game of Thrones, and he will play Roderick Burgess. And I'm sorry, Gwendolyn Christie is going to be Lucifer in this series, and yeah, Charles Dance is going to play Roderick Burgess, a charlatan occultist. Here's a fascinating name I did not see coming out of this. Jenna Coleman, for all you Doctor Who fans out there, she played Clara Oswald, and she will be Johanna Constantine, an occult detective and the great great grandmother of John Constantine. Then
Crazy.
we get, I know, crazy, crazy. That that kind of runs in the family. Then we get Kirby Howell Baptiste, who was in the recently released Cruella, and he was on HBO's Barry, and he shall play Death, Dream's kinder and wiser sister. I'm sorry, she. Sorry there, Kirby. Getting my pronouns mixed up there. Then we have Mason Alexander Park. He plays Gren in the upcoming Cowboy Bebop, and he will be Desire, Dream's and androgynous sibling with whom he has a heavy rivalry. Now here's a fun name for you, Patton Oswald, who we know from MODOK, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. He will be the voice of Matthew, Dream's Raven emissary. And last but not least, we have Stephen Fry from A Fish Called Wanda and the Hobbit series, and he will be playing Boyd Holbrook.
No, that's
Uh,
also so.
oh, sorry.
Stephen Fry is he played in A Fish Called Wanda, and of course he was in the Hobbit series. Fantastic actor, but they also
Yeah.
have there also is Boyd
Oh, so
Holbrook.
also,
Yes,
yes, and Vivian Achapong, and I'm sorry I butchered that last name, and Jolie Richardson are other actors tied to the production, among many, many others as well. Alex, as I stumble through the last of these names here, do any of them stand out to you?
man, I gotta tell you, like I this it was on my radar with just Gaiman and Goyer being attached to it, but when I seen that Charles Dance had been cast as Roderick Burgess, I mean, that kind of really put it over the top for me because, I mean, growing up, I mean, I love Last Action Hero, but he was absolutely terrifying in that movie. He was the glass-eyed guy in that movie, I think,
Yes, yes, he was
and
the glass-eyed villain.
and so that always terrified me. And then of course, his turn as Tywin Lannister on Game of Thrones is one of the all-time like greatest characters on that show. Very menacing actor, and so his name definitely stood out to me. Of course, Gwendolyn Christie. Again, we got to hit the babe alert alarm. Um, as Captain Phasma, she looking at her playing Lucifer, who is traditionally I think a male character in the comic book, and it's going to be a female character here. Of course, you can gender bend all you want as far as I care.
No, same here. Bend them
And
all,
then
man.
this Jenna Coleman as Johanna Constantine. That's also going to be really interesting for me to kind of keep an eye on, because this whole great 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 grandmother of John Constantine, where she plays kind of like um, I guess they're going to go back and forth between 1916 and 2021. So I think she plays the great 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 grandmother back in 1916, and then when they leap forward in time, I guess somehow she's still. I don't know if she's playing a different character or what, but I know she is in both time periods. So I will definitely be looking out for that. But what about you, Sam? How many of these names on this list, this heavy, heavy cast list, are stand out to you?
I mean, of course, Gwendolyn Christie. I mean, she rocked it as Captain Phasma. She destroyed it as Brienne of Tarth in Game of Thrones. I mean, she's badass, so I cannot
Oh yeah.
wait to see her take on Lucifer, the ruler of hell. And of course, yes, Charles, friend of the show, Dance. Yes, man. Last Action Hero. He played such a menacing and great villain. And man, he cranked that villainy up to 11 playing Tywin Lannister in Game of Thrones. So, yes, fascinated to see what he will bring to this, especially as a charlatan occultist. And then, yes, another name, Jenna Coleman, who played Claire Oswald, because in Doctor Who, she's kind of like sweet and like, like kind of like, I don't know, just sweet, soft character, without like, she doesn't really have like a harsh voice. She's very kind and soft spoken and everything.
Right.
So to see her play Johanna Constantine, the great great grandmother of John Constantine, like you, I'm very fascinated to see. I could see her being in 1916, but seeing I don't know how she's going to show up in 2021. So that'll be interesting to see. And then yeah, the other name, Patton Oswald, man, I love this guy. He cracks me up. I've seen several of his stand-ups on YouTube. I'm looking forward to watching MODOK. He was great on his guest appearances on Parks and Rec. I liked him in Agents of Shield. So yeah, I mean Patton Oswalt, awesome. Those are the names that really stand out to you. What direction do you see this show taking, Alex? Like more action oriented, or will this be more dramatic, like Gaiman's previous show, American Gods?
Well, I think there'll be a healthy dose of action, but I think for the most part, this is going to be a. I mean, it could be a with the premise of the show as it was explained to me. It could be a for a while. It'll be probably be a coming of age type of show, and after that, it might get into some kind of a mystery. But I think for the most part, this is going to be very dramatic and a very dark show with little hints of action in between. So I mean, we're definitely not talking, the boys or any of Jupiter's Legacy or things like that that are kind of a little bit more heavily on the action side. But I still think when you've got Gaiman on it, it's got to be it's he does a really good job of taking like a, he's kind of done a masterful job of creating these modern day myths or taking ancient myths and bringing them into the modern day. So I really am interested to see what he's going to do with this property or as being an executive producer over this show. But I mean, do you see this as being kind of like punch heavy, or do you see it as kind of like, are you gonna bust out the tissue and cry about it, or I mean, what are we talking about here, Sam?
I'm gonna say this is more heavily script, more heavily dialogue, more heavily character driven. I'm not saying you're not going to see like the Sandman use his powers at points, and like there's going to be some action. There's going to be a little bit of fighting here and there. Because I know in the comic book, like I got far enough into like the first Sandman comic book that like he broke free, and man, did he want revenge on all the occultists who imprisoned him for so long, and he really came back and like literally haunted them to death like in their dreams. So yeah, but no, I figured this to be way more talking and like kind of at a much more slow to moderate pace. But I mean, that's what I would expect out of a series like Sandman. So I'm totally okay with that. But yeah, no, that's my take on it. Are you okay with like a slower pace, Alex?
Ah, man, it's really got. Like I said, it's gonna. Yeah, I guess it depends when it comes out. Because if it's coming out when like let's say like Loki season 2 or like Invincible season 2, it's gonna be competing with those kinds of shows. So it's really gonna have to do. I mean, and they definitely have the star power to do that. I'm not gonna say that, but I will at least give it a listen, or not a listen, but a watch. But the thing that I fear is that it seems like the kind of show that's going to take a couple of episodes to really get going. It's not going to hit the ground running, like like I said before, like The Boys, or you know, properties like that. I think this is gonna have you're gonna have to marinate on this one a while. I just really hope that it doesn't end up as being like another WandaVision, but I, you know, I I have high hopes for this. Now that we've discussed it, I really will be checking in on this. And so, as the folks out there, they just released the cast list, and production has yet to begin. But you can always stay tuned here at My Comic Life, or on our Facebook page, our Twitter page, our YouTube page, and we will be sure to fill you in on any new developments that we get for this show.
Yes, indeed. But moving on to our final segment here, and a new segment on My Comic Life called "You Watching It or Nah." Um, a holdover segment from last week. Netflix unveiled a trailer for their ambitious CGI animated series set in the Resident Evil universe. The trailer shows off some impressive computer graphics and some excellent voice acting for the upcoming series Resident Evil Infinite Darkness. Now, Alex, I gotta ask you, are you more of a Resident Evil movie fan or game fan?
I gotta be a games fan, man. They're just so much better than the movies. That first movie was pretty good, and yeah, folks at home, you're not listening to Dead Air. That's about it. Yeah, that first movie is pretty good, and that's it. Like the rest of them have just been slowly turning into more dog shit. And I really wish that they would just finally just um, reboot it and just do, like, I'm talking about, reface from top to bottom. And I'll even, like, yeah, that's a mid rant crack right there, guys. So this franchise is, like, I think they just recently celebrated 30 years or something like that. And Capcom celebrated like 30 years of Resident Evil, so you have so much history, and it's reset itself so many times that, and the movies have just been slowly becoming more dog shit, and it sucks to see such a fantastic, and if you guys, it's okay if you like the movies, man. I'm not gonna rag on you too hard, fans out there. So don't be afraid to, if you want to defend your position on these movies, absolutely come at me, bro. But I will just like beat you into the ground with how much I hate these movies after the first one. But the games are phenomenal. The movies, not so much. That's basically my take. Sam, what do you think? Are you games or are you movies?
Definitely more games over movies, but I own the entire series, like the entire movie series, on Blu-ray, and
Oh my god.
I don't quite have the same amount of vitriol and hatred for these as you do. I just look at them as kind of like dumb, mindless fun, kind of like past that first one. Also, I guess, I mean, I was just curious enough to be like, okay, where's this going? Like, like what's going on? Like how do you end this series? So yeah, no, like I actually went and saw from yeah, I saw from like the third one on in movie theaters, and I ended the series. And then I was scrolling through Amazon like a few weeks back, and like, here, Resident Evil 1 through 6, Blu-ray, $20, and I was like, that's 6 movies for $20. So I bought it. I bought it. I
That's
bought
$20. That's $20 well spent. I'll tell you what.
the. Oh my gosh. I did hear rumors that they are like doing a whole top-down reboot with Robbie Amell playing Chris Redfield in the
Oh,
upcoming
okay.
reboot. So I think we're getting this series here, and then I think we are getting like another movie reboot. But yes, once again, definitely games over movies. Movies, watch the first one sober, get drunk and watch the other ones. They're kind of fun drunk. Um, but since we are both such big fans of the game, Alex, I want you to rank me your top 5 Resident Evil games, man.
Okay. I feel like this list is very top heavy. It's really easy to pick. So I will say with my number one would be Resident Evil 4, which is the one with Leon where he goes to rescue the president's daughter. That was like
Yeah, Los Plagas.
yes, Las Plagas, and that was
Plagas.
like game of the year material. I think it won hands down, easily, and very much deservedly so. Two for me would probably be Resident Evil 5. It kind of built on that over the shoulder type of camera that they had switched to, and it added co op gameplay, which I mean, matter of fact, I just got done playing Resident Evil 5. Like, we went and bought it on Steam, and we played through again, me and a buddy of mine. Um,
Oh man, the AI. I mean, like, yes, you got to play Resident Evil 5 with somebody because the AI is so bad in that game.
well, absolutely, but I mean, we had a blast. It was fun. We skipped all the cutscenes, so it was really confusing. We didn't, one minute we were kind of being surrounded by a motorcycle gang, and the next minute we were on a boat. So
Oh
that
my
kind of
gosh,
added to the fun of it.
let me tell you
But
how bad the AI was for me in Res 5 real quick. Like, first boss, you have to trap him in an incinerator and turn it on. My AI was eating up all of my green plants, and I finally trapped the boss in the incinerator, and I went to turn it on, and my AI was in there. I burned her up, and I had to go
oh,
back. And that's when I just dropped the controls. Like, no, no, I'm done. I gotta find somebody to play Res 5 with.
that's amazing. That's that's
Yeah.
that's phenomenal. And I know a lot of people have done that, and I've actually done that. So I would say number three for me is probably Resident Evil 2, which I think took place in Raccoon City, if I'm not
Yes, yes,
mistaken.
Raccoon
That's
City.
where you get the very first introduction to Leon Kennedy and Claire Redfield. And then number four would be the seven, which is Resident Evil 7, which was the because that one was just absolutely just terrifying. With that family chasing you around that house was,
Oh my gosh,
I
playing that
mean,
in VR scared the piss out of me.
oh man, like it was, yeah, yeah. And then the fifth one, I will go ahead and I'll just throw the OG, the original Resident Evil 1, because the voice acting in that is so bad that it is just like you must witness that for yourself. If you can get a copy of that game from back then, I know they've remade it to death, but if you can get a copy of it from back then and have the original voice acting in it, please, please play it because man, oh man, is it bad. But I mean, but the memories come flooding back, and it is just very nostalgic for me. But Sam, please list your top five Resident Evil titles when it comes to the
Okay.
video games.
Starting out, number one for me is Resident Evil 2. This was the very first Resident Evil game I played. I played it back on the original PS1, like when you had to have like a memory card, to, like save your data and load it up
Oh yeah.
onto the second disc, man. It introduced me, yeah, to Leon Kennedy and Claire Redfield, two of the most badass characters of this series. So yeah, I got to go with Resident Evil 2 at number one. Coming in at number two is Resident Evil 4. I mean, that game, like you said, was just fucking amazing. It deserved all the Game of the Year awards it got. It was challenging, but it was never infuriating. If I ever died in the game, I was like, okay, that's on me. Like not reacting or not having like sort of the right weapon out at like the right time. So like I get that, like that's my fault. But so engaging, such a great storyline, just tons of fun. So yes, Resident Evil 4 comes in at number two. Coming in at number three, I'm gonna go with Resident Evil 3 just because it introduced a
Oh
great
wow.
villain Nemesis in there,
Yeah.
and that was just sort of like an iconic villain of the series and a very scary villain, I might add. Um, so yeah, so for me, yeah, Resident Evil 3 comes in at three. Clocking in at number four, much like you, Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. I really love the homage to Texas Chainsaw Massacre you get when
It's a
they have you
phenomenal game.
yeah, when they have you tied down in the dining room and you're watching them, cannibalize other victims that have stumbled upon the house, and they, and especially in VR, it's gross, but they try to force feed you
Oh yeah.
parts of other victims. But yeah, Resident Evil 7 is great. Coming in number five for me, Resident Evil 8. I just beat this game like last week, and it's still kind of fresh on the mind. It continues the story of Seven with its main character, and it starts out a little slow, but like once you see where the game's going, like it's fun. It's just a really fun playthrough. It's a fun game, and it's got a very satisfying ending. So yeah, I'll put Resident Evil 8 at number five on my list.
No, I heard.
Uh,
So Resident Evil 7 was like it was also a break in the same much the same way that 4 was a break from the previous 3, but 7 was kind of a soft reboot of the series where they kind of went left the action oriented gameplay and went settled more for the literal survival horror. And but I heard 8 was a lot more casual than that. Did you notice a big change between 7 and 8? Like I noticed that the people are saying that 8 just didn't have the same magic as 7. But what did you think?
I mean, eight's fun, but eight's more like run and gun and like less like survival horror because like you're in like a village like full of like werewolves and like cursed people. So I
Mm-hmm.
get what people are saying about like it's more casual. Yes, I get that. Uh, but and like I said, it's kind of the reason it comes in at number five is because yeah, like the story's kind of like slow to start up. But it's got some really fun boss battles in it and just some like great like memorable characters and Lady Dimitrescu, or Demescu, depending on how you say your name.
Mm-hmm.
So no, I mean like I said, but yeah, mainly it's less of like, oh crap, there's 12 zombies and I've got 6 bullets, so clearly I've got to run, and it's more of like, oh, lock and load, and just start kind of like shooting your way through it. But it's still pretty fun. Like I said, it's still a fun game, and the ending's just very cool. Like just watch the ending. But jumping back to this Netflix series, chronologically, this series takes place in 2006, 2 years after the events of Resident Evil 4. Leon Kennedy is returning for this movie along with Claire Redfield, another familiar name to Resident Evil fans. And together, Leon and Claire attempt to uncover the link between a bioweapon incident at the White House and a previous incident involving an Army Special Operations unit 6 years prior. Now, Alex, let me ask you this question. Do you enjoy when franchises go back and forth along the timeline to film the story, or do you find it confusing?
I mean, I guess I could give it a pass this time because it is animated, so it's not like the characters. It would be different if it was like real life because the actors would have noticeably um, aged, and with it being animated, they don't have to worry about stuff like that. So that part kind of will. I was worried that it might take me out of the story, but I don't. You don't have to worry about that with an animated movie. But I still just don't. I just don't like the whole back and forth jumping around in the timeline thing. Like just tell the damn story, man. Just give me beginning, middle, end. If you skipped over some shit, like, you got to fill it back in. Like that's what the novels are for. So do it there. But I will I be watching this? Yeah, sure, I might. I still haven't decided yet. But what do you think, Sam? Are you a fan of when they go back and kind of fill in some of the story?
I will say in this instance, I am not every time, but there's such big gaps between the video games and everything. So yeah, so I mean, if you want to go back in and like fill in and be like, look, when you start like Resident Evil 6 or like Resident Evil 7, like this is why Chris is where he is, and this is why Leon is not here. Then yeah, like I'm totally fine with that. Yeah, just like I said, there's so many gaps, and the Resident Evil universe is such a rich and fun universe to hang out in, and it's got a lot of great characters, and just a lot of visually. I mean, just all the monsters you get to see in it are awesome. So yeah, so no, in this instance, yeah, I don't mind them, uh, filling in filling in certain gaps with like TV series or movies. But Alex, can you recall a time when the Resident Evil series made you jump either in game or in the movies?
I'd have to say I don't know if I think it was Resident Evil 1, but you would walk through a hallway and you were still this was early on in the game, so you're still trying to get used to those terrible controls. Um, but you would walk down this hallway and then all of a sudden, the first time you walked through, a bird crashed through the window, and that scared the absolute shit out of me. And then the second time you walked through, like one of those monsters, the lickers, one of like two or three of those crashed through the window. Or maybe it was like in a later game when you have to walk back through that house. It was like I came up on the same hallway, and like my PTSD started going. I'm like, oh shit, I remember this hallway from earlier. And so, but this time you walk through, and it's not birds that crash through it. Instead, it's like monsters that come at you. And both times it got me really good. I think that was really the only time that this series kind of made me jump. I mean, of course, in 7 they had a ton of jump scares, but other than that, I think it was just those two moments. But what about Sam? Do you recall any time in the series when you had kind of kind of lost your fortitude?
I like how you put that. Yeah. Resident Evil 2. You're walking through like a side hall in the police station, and like you cross this window once, and you're like, huh, okay, cool, nothing happened, and like you go off and like you complete like your minor objective there, and you come back through, and out of nowhere, a liquor busts through that window, and like I flew back like the first time I played that. I was just like, oh shit. And then playing Res 7 in VR after you get interrupted at the family dinner and you break out of your chair, uh, the 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 father of the family starts chasing you throughout the house and you can't kill him. Like he's immortal at this point. And oh my gosh, just with my earphones plugged in and in VR, just hearing him thudding up behind me, or him being like, "I found you," and you're
Oh
just like,
man,
"Oh shoot," like
yeah.
that was scary. And like once or twice, like I didn't catch like how accurately like the VR camera like tracked my head movement when I was supposed to be hiding, and like if I peeked around like a box like too far, and like bam, man, like somebody would be in like like the foreground of the screen, all of a sudden like boom, like right up like in your face. Yeah, Resident Evil 7 definitely had some great jump scares in it. But yeah, those are the times I can really remember jumping. But Alex, I just got one final question to ask you, and that's simply: are you watching it or nah?
I'd have to say, for me personally, as it sits right now, if I have to answer the question, it's a nah for me, man. I'm sorry. Like
Oh
I
man,
just got way too much going on. But Sam, I pose the same question to you. Are you watching
I'm
or not?
watching, man. I'm
Oh
watching,
my
man. I'm
god.
watching. I like all
Oh
this like
no.
I like all this Resident Evil stuff, from like the really cheesy movies to yeah to like these like movies here. So yeah, so I'm in. I'm all in. I am watching. I'm watching, man.
Well,
Oh
get your
well,
popcorn ready, brother.
yeah. I will. I'll let you know how it is.
Yes, please
Well,
do.
Well, folks, this wraps up another episode of My Comic Life. As always, we thank you so much for listening. Shout out to our My Comic Life fan of the week, Rick Gasco, out there in Los Angeles, California. Man, we so appreciate you listening, Rick. Thank you for commenting, liking, subscribing, and emailing us your ideas of the show. Rick Gasco, you are our My Comic Life fan of the week. Salute to you, sir.
Salute to you, Rick, you legend.
Yes, Rick the legend out there in Los Angeles. Thank you again, sir. Hey folks, please continue to like our Facebook page. Get your kids to like our Facebook page. Get your aunt, get your uncle, get everyone to like our Facebook page. It really helps grow the show there. We are on YouTube now. We are dropping episodes there, so you can listen there while you're at work. Just, find us on YouTube. Just search My Comic Life and look for that oh so brilliant, oh so beautiful, oh so fantastic My Comic Life logo. And continue to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Again, every like, every subscribe, every comment you leave, that just helps grow the show that much more. And we do sincerely appreciate it. And finally, email us your show ideas. What do you want to hear us talk about? We are a show for the fans. Do you want to hear us talk more about video games? Do you want to hear us talk more about movies? Do you want to hear us talk more about comic books? Let us know. Reach out to us. And you can email us at mycomiclife@gmail.com. Again, I know that email address is a mouthful, so I'll give it to you one more time. That's mycomiclife@gmail.com. That's right, folks. mycomiclife@gmail.com. But again, that wraps up this episode of My Comic Life. So ditch the herd, be a nerd, stay strong out there, my friends.